more people who are going to be joining us. But let me welcome you to the second in a series of pre-PLS conference webinars. Our focus today is going to be on finance, administration, and membership. And we're going to give you just a lot of great tips on what you need to do in terms of finances and forms that you need to fill out, and talk about membership and some of the challenges and ways that we can help you with that. So getting this started, I want to just go over a couple of items on how you can use your control panel and how to participate today. I know many of you have already participated in our first webinar session, and you're already familiar with this panel, but if you haven't, just a couple of quick tips. If you should already have a control panel right up on your screen. What happened? Excuse me for just a moment. Well, here I am. So in your control panel right here, you can close it, minimize it just by clicking this arrow back and forth. And if you have a question today, while we go through the presentation, we don't have a whole lot of time, but please just click on the panel, click and raise your hand, and as organizers, we'll be able to see whose hand is raised, and that will indicate to us that you have a question. And what I'll do is I'll unmute you, and you can pose your question to any one of us. If you don't want to speak, though, you can certainly type in your question in this box right here, and we'll be going through the different question box, and when we see those, when we have a little time, we'll go ahead and we'll address those and make sure that everything has been taken care of. So you can raise your hand, you can submit your questions, and to let you know, at the end of this presentation, it is being recorded. Everyone will receive an email with a link to view a recorded version of today's session. What we will do is send you a recording through through the community, and you'll have a link to the PowerPoint, to a PDF of the PowerPoint, and to the recording itself. So let's begin with just some introductions on the PLS committee and staff, just so you know who we all are, and who you'll be seeing when you're here at PLS in Alexandria in April. Nola Nasser-Gertner is our PLS chair. Andrew Weinberg, CPSM, is our PLS incoming chair. Tiffany Konenkamp is our PLS past chair. Kevin Hebblethwaite, FSMPS CPSM, is our president-elect. Holly Bolton, CPSM, is our chapter delegate. I am Tina Myers. I am the liaison to the PLS committee, along with Mary Cruz and Dan Riley. So on some welcoming words, I'm going to hand this over to Kevin Hebblethwaite. Kevin?
Thank you so much, and thanks everybody for joining today. You know, we're doing PLS as we always try to do, a little bit differently and a little bit better each year. And by putting some of this information out in webinar format, hopefully what we're doing for you is setting the stage and helping you absorb what is massive amounts of data and things you need to be thinking about as a chapter president. We're spreading it out a little bit so we don't have to do it all at once. And one of these topics that's near and dear to my heart, finance and administration. Now that may not sound like a fun walk in the park, and most days it isn't, but it is very important. And as you know, especially if you've been on a board before, you have fiduciary responsibilities to your chapter as a board member, and as the president, not only that, but you're organizing other people who have fiduciary responsibilities. And so I wanted to throw out a thank you first, and just a message about the importance of this part of your duties as chapter president, and actually what can be pretty fun, to be honest. You will be the president of a real-life organization that the IRS knows about and that has real money in the bank. At least let's hope so. Seriously, that's an important thing to keep in mind. And so my message for you today, as one of your fellow SMPS members, because keep in mind, this is what I'm doing for the national organization next year, and I don't take that lightly. I want you to take a message away of being in the know. We have talked with occasional chapter leaders where and I kid you not, they say things like, yeah, I saw the bank statements for the chapter about 3 months ago, but since then we haven't talked too much about it. And those are certainly few and far between, but I want you to be in the know about your monthly financials, the money that's in the bank, the money that's in the reserves, and just all these things that we'll talk about today related to keeping up with financial matters. It does increase your ability as a leader to stay in touch with these things, and I guarantee you'll be able to take some skill sets from your year as president forward into your firms and other things that you're doing in your careers. So I greatly appreciate your participation today, and I absolutely am looking forward to serving alongside of you in the coming fiscal year for SNPS. Thank you so much, Tina.
Thank you, Kevin. Well, then let's proceed. Okay, before we get launched into all the things that we need to work on and cover, I want to remind all of you a couple of things. First, what we're going to cover here is not the end-all, be-all. There are many things that you are going to have to pay special attention to as you take on your role as president of your chapter. What I want you to know is that you are not alone. You have a staff, you have a board, you have a committee, and you will have colleagues that are more than willing to help you along with this process. So we're going to be giving you an outline of the very important things that you need to cover right now and be aware of. And again, you are not alone in any of these things. And as we go through some of the details, you might feel that you want to write some notes or you want to get all the details, but everything we're going to be talking about today is covered in much more detail and in depth in our chapter manual. And the chapter manual is updated every year, and it's distributed at PLS on a flash drive. And it is also posted in the chapter leaders community in MySNPS. So you'll always have this available to you whenever you have a question and you really need to get into those details. And again, you are always welcome to call any one of us on staff based on the question that you might have to really help you along in whatever it is you might be working on. So that said, let's start with some things that all of you, if you're not already aware of, you need to be aware of as president. These are things that you must pay attention to and things that you must do. And when I say this, by the way, when you must do, what really is important is that you must understand that it needs to be done, but you as president, you might delegate it to somebody else. It might be more appropriate for your secretary or treasurer to take care of one of these items. It might be more appropriate for your education person to take one of these items. But it is your responsibility to make sure that it is indeed being taken care of. So let's start with bylaws. Bylaws, I know that most of you are well aware that you have them. We get questions on bylaws all the time, but I imagine that many of you haven't really taken a very good look and thorough look at your bylaws. So you must read your bylaws, take a look at them, and understand that your bylaws is really kind of your operating procedures for your chapter. And one of the other things that you need to think about in terms of your bylaws is that this is really a promise to your membership on how you are going to operate your chapter. At any time, if for some reason something is off and there's a specific way that you need to do something that is outlined in your bylaws, your members can call you on that. And that's why it's important to understand what is in there and how you are supposed to be operating. Typically, this is not something that you have to worry about. It's really kind of standard operational procedures, but they are legally binding documents. So again, you need to pay attention to those. So when do you need to read your bylaws? You need to read them now. You don't want to make mistakes. You don't want to struggle needlessly, because this is really going to help you understand how to take care of your nominations process. It's going to help you understand how to, if you have any challenges with bringing in new people on your board, or what you need to do to get a vote of the membership, when you need to do that, or how you need to do that, if it's an email or if it's mail. All of these little things are kind of in your bylaws. So take a look at them. Make sure that you fully understand them. And there's one other thing before we go on to the must-do number 2 about your bylaws. In the past, I don't know how many of you have worked with Earl Klinger or even worked with us in other questions about your bylaws, but it's important to know that we have always said we don't want you to just go and change your bylaws, and just because you want to make a couple of corrections or there's something that you don't like, we really want you to pay attention to it. What I want you to do, though, as you go along is make sure that the bylaws, and especially in the section where you're working with your directors and your board, or maybe you might have an issue with how a non-performing board member might be dealt with, or if you need to really, I hate to think about this, but consider having to remove someone from the board. Some of you have some processes in place in your bylaws to make it very, very difficult to do that. And I've talked to some of our chapters already on that. So what I want you to do is I want you to go back, take a look at it, see if it really makes sense for your chapter. And if it doesn't, give us a call here at National. Give me a call, Tina Myers, and I will work that through with you. It might be a good time to kind of take a look at it, not just because, but only because it's making it very difficult for you to manage your chapter as well as you should. That's all I'm going to say in bylaws now. Certainly, if you have any questions, you can give me a call. The next thing I want to talk about is your state corporation report. I don't know how long many of you have been on your board already, if you're familiar with your state report, or that you even need to file one. But what you should understand is that nearly all states require SMPS chapters to file an annual report. Sometimes you have a nominal fee to maintain this. Sometimes you do not. My understanding is that North Carolina and Texas are the 2 states that don't require an annual report right now, but that may have changed, and you need to find out. So what you need to do, and hopefully your chapter is already on top of this right now, but certainly as you come into the fray and you become chapter president, you need to make sure that this is indeed valid, it is up to date, and that you know, there is nothing outstanding. Sometimes you might find that for a year it hasn't been updated, and chances are it's going to be easier to update it at that point because it's only been a year. But if it has been several years, it could be very difficult and expensive to reinstate your corporate status. And understand that if you don't have your corporate status updated, if it is not current, you're risking a certain liability that is not covered with the D&O insurance that SMPS National already provides. So we have all the websites, and we even have telephone numbers for you when you need to approach that and make sure that it's done. You might have your treasurer, you might have your secretary be the person to follow up with this, but make sure that indeed it is followed up with. So the next thing you need to think about, and what you must file every single year if you're not familiar with this, is the finance report. This is a report that SMPS National asks of each and every one of our chapters. It is due on September 30th of every single year, and I want to give you just a look at what this is. We're trying to make it really simple for you. And so again, your treasurer is most likely the person who's going to be filling this out. At any time, if you want to get a look at this, it's in the community, but I can certainly send one off to you as well. But it is important that we have all of this information compiled. And if we don't get it, there are going to be, you know, some things that you have to consider. If we don't ever get it, you may be forfeiting a certain amount of shared dues, and I'll talk to you about that in a moment. But it's important information, and I'll show you in a moment how we use that information. The other report that we need from you, this is must-do number 4, is for your chapter complete your education report. The education report, just like the finance report, is due September 30th of every year. And again, if we don't get it, you risk forfeiting a certain amount of your shared dues. This is not what we want to do. But let me explain to you what we do with all of this information. This is a copy of the chapter education report. The reports are used in a couple of different ways. If you look at the sheet in the background. It says chapter growth and reserves. We take all the data that you give us, we compile it, and we compare it to membership numbers and growth over the last couple of years. When we can compare that to expenses and income and revenue, as well as sponsorship, we really get a very interesting picture of our chapters. And it gives us some red flags, not just staff, but when we're working with the board, and what we really need to start paying attention to. So this information is confidential. We just share it with the staff and the board. If at any time you want your specific line item and you want that reference, I am happy to send it to any chapter that requests it, your specific line item. But it is information, and it is important for us to receive this. In terms of the chapter educational report, this is something for each and every one of you, and it is a great report. What our education department does is they compile all that information that you give them, and they put it into a very comprehensive report broken down by your chapter, by the program, and it gives you a reference to really pull some great ideas. Maybe you're looking for a special event or a speaker. You can look at all the different chapters and the programs they provided, even based on the domain, and see which ones have excelled, had greatest attendance. And that might give you just that other little idea, and like, oh, I didn't think about that. And you'll also get a list of contacts at the end of the report. If you have a question about a given program, say, well, you know, I would like to have Joe Smith. It was a great program, and now you have a person to call and ask about that a little bit more. So the chapter educational programs and events, that compiled report is distributed and posted on the MySMPS chapter leaders community. It's a big document. So we don't print it and we don't send it out because the file is so large, but at any time you can upload it and view it from the chapter leaders community. If you have any questions about that, you are welcome to call us at SMPS National, the education department, and they will help you through it. And also with the educational report, I know I'm on another slide here, but on the educational report, it's important that you include all your events, your educational event, your special events, sponsorship, you know, little programs that you might have. It's all outlined there for you, but this gives us an idea of what all of our chapters are doing well and how many things you are doing, and that's another source of reference for us. So going back to the penalties that may be applied. If after September 30th we haven't received your reports, then you risk a loss of share dues for 3 months. If after December 31st we haven't received any of your reports, then you risk a loss of share dues for the entire year. Now, there is no one here that wants to take your dues and keep them. We want all of you to have everything that you need, but this make sure that we're really getting the information that we need. And certainly every year there are things that are going on. If you need an extension beyond September 30th and you communicate with us, we're going to work with you. That's not a problem. But these are the things that could happen if you just refuse to get us the information that we need. So let us know what's going on. If you know it's due, you don't have time, and even if you're getting to the point where December 31st is coming across and something's happening, let us know. I mean, maybe you don't have a volunteer that was supposed to put together something for you. We can help you through that process. So we don't want this to happen, but we do need to let you know that it could. And I think that there has been maybe only one chapter in the last 10 years that we've had to apply that to. So the must-do number 5, and many of you may have already been familiar with this, or maybe you were part of the process, but your IRS Information Returns. Typically, our chapters need to file a 990EZ or 990N. The 990N is an electronic postcard, and it's actually the easiest of the forms to fill out and complete. This year, beginning this year, actually most of our chapters we're in that 990N category. And what we ask is that you always send us a copy of the confirmation of what you filed, so we have it on record. The 990EZ, maybe a small fraction of our chapters had to file that this year. And the 990, which is a much longer form and applies to those chapters, and I don't have the number right in front of me, but applies to those chapters who have a much greater income. The threshold actually changed this year. We had one chapter who filed that this year that I'm aware of. I don't think there were any more. They did an amazing job. We reviewed it with them, and everything worked fine. So, but what you need to know is that this is due January 15th, 2013 for the coming year, and that is going to be for your 2011-12 program year. Again, details and more information is available to all of you, so you don't have to write all the information right here, right now, but I do want to make sure that you are aware of that date. And understand, too, that it is very important that you file these on time. You could be fined up to $20 a day per day that it is late, and that means up to $10,000 in total, or 5% of your total income. If you don't file the 990N, for those of you who qualify, you could lose your exempt status. And I will tell you, this year alone, that has been in the news all over the place. People are losing their exempt status, and you do not want to be in that position. So if you have any questions about the IRS forms, I am here. I'm helping you. And many of the rest of us here on staff, and we have a financial accounting temporary who is helping us as well, and we can get you the assistance that you need and help you get some of those questions answered, at least direct you to where you need to be. The resources that we provide you to file these out, and Earl Klinger has been helping us with this a little bit this year, but we have every year a revised guide to filing your returns for the 990N and the 990EZ. This is a step-by-step, line-by-line document that's going to help you through that process. So again, every year it's updated. We will send reminders to you saying the time is coming for you to think about filing your returns. And we even, through your financial reports that you give us, we can pretty much determine which form you're going to have to file for the year, and we can help you with that as well. So you're not alone in this. Most of these are not very difficult to file, and you can do them on your own. We have some chapters who actually work with an accountant, but many of our chapters do this on their own. You'll see what's not here is Form 990 guide. Again, most of our chapters in the past have not had to file a full 990. Depending on how it goes in the coming year, we may put together a guide for you. It just depends on the need and where we feel our chapter is going to have to file. But again, if you have questions on the 990, we are here and we will help you through that process. So let's talk about the must-do number 6, your 1099 forms. Your 1099 is kind of like the W-2 for an employee, but this is for those non-employees. You need to file a 1099 form for any individual who you paid $600 or more to. That could be a subcontractor, a consultant, that type of person. Not necessarily your manager if they're considered in a certain category. And again, I have more details on that. But the 1099, it's good now to start thinking about tracking who you're paying your money out to, so you have this information readily available when the time comes. You need to file this by January 31st of every year. This coming year will be 2013. And this is not for your program year. This is for the calendar year. And the penalty for not filing it on time is $15 to $50 for each form that is not filed. This is a copy of what the form looked like this year. It's pretty standard. What you do need to understand about this form is that you need to get it directly from the IRS. The IRS has a special ink that they use, and when you're ready to fill this out, we have information here at the office, and we can get you the links that you need in these forms to fill them out. So just remember, be prepared. Keep track of who you're paying money out to. Even if you're not sure if they qualify, track it anyway, and then we can work with you in the future on that. So must do number 7, charitable contributions. What you need to be aware of this is really very simple. I'm hoping that all of you are doing this now. But for those chapters, and again, there's not many of you that this applies, but if your annual income exceeds $100,000, so again, there's not going to be as many of you out there, but regulations state that you must include an IRS disclosure notice on solicitation and invoices. So what this means is that you need to include the following text, which I'm going to show you right here, on any statements, invoices, or letters that are soliciting financial support and contributions. This just makes people understand that what they're giving to your chapter, and this is what we do at S&PS National as well, that what they're given isn't necessarily something that they can write off in their taxes as a charitable contribution. However, depending on what that distribution of money might be, they might be able to deduct it as a business expense. But it is our responsibility to make sure that they understand that, and it is on those notices. If you are not sure what notices you need to put this on, or if you're one of those chapters that need to do this, and it's a good idea to do it even if you don't make over $100,000 a year anyway in your expenses, just give us a call and we can help you through that as well. And then answer any questions. And again, I want to remind you, all of this is in the chapter manual, and it will be able to outline exactly what you need to do. The other thing you must do, excuse me, is your special events insurance. We want you to pay attention to this just a little bit. And recently, I've been a lot of questions on the special events insurance because some of you are doing some different things. You might have a certain event or a tour that you feel you might need special events insurance on. This is insurance that is not covered with the regular D&O insurance that we provide for all of our chapters. So when you hold an athletic event, or say you have a special group bus ride, or maybe you have golf tennis function or something that you know might be a little bit more risky, chances are you are going to need special event insurance. We have contact names for you from our insurance provider to confirm whether indeed you really need that. At any time, you can look at the chapter manual. That information is there, but you can give me a call as well. I will not be able to tell you, and no one on staff is going to be tell you exactly if that's what you need. So we must send you to our insurance provider and our contact there, and they will be able to tell you exactly what you need to do. And in the event you do need special insurance, we have a couple of names of providers that that are really very solid and reasonably priced, and we can give you those names and leads if you need them. All you need to do is talk to us and ask for that information. And certainly, if you are in the position where you need to call the insurance provider, they can help you out as well. And number 9, must-do. This is the end of the must-dos, is that you need to make sure, just as you are all coming to PLS, that your next president-elect coming in is going to be registered. The registration information typically goes out even earlier than February, but we want that information by February. It's so important. This is a great event, and we want everyone to take a part of it that that are obviously going to be a president. So we hope that you will take heed on that. So that ends the must-dos. Now we're going to give you just a little quiz, and obviously you're all muted, so you're not going to be able to respond, but we're going to go through this as quickly as we can, and we'll just think about a couple of things. These are things that, yes?
This is Mary. I just wanted to chime in. You had a question from Vanessa on the 1099 form before you moved on. She raised her hand. She asked, sure. For the 1099 form, is $600 over the course of the calendar year? Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, that was her question.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So it's the course of the calendar year, so from January 1 through the end of December.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for letting me know. I'm going to give it just a moment. Mary, are there any other questions?
There were a few. I've answered them in the question box and responded to all. Otherwise, there's no other hands raised at this point.
Okay, well, thank you. I know there's a lot of information here. I'm going through it rather quickly. I want to make sure we have time to talk about membership as well, but I will try to give us a little bit more time in between the slides just to make sure that any of those questions that you're typing or hands raised are addressed. So let's see. Let's go through the quiz. So true or false? Since we are a tax-exempt organization, we do not have to pay sales tax. Well, this is a question, honestly, for the last month I had a handful of these questions. Well, of course, we have to pay sales tax. And here's what you need to know about the exempt tax status with all of us. The The status is in reference to federal and state income taxes only. It is not sales tax. However, I want to put this out there. I believe the state of Missouri is one of those states that does extend the exemption to sales tax. You need to make sure if you are in that state and if you incorporate it there that that is indeed true today. And if it is, you will have to file a separate application to make that claim. But I do want you to know that that's what that is about. You know, when you're purchasing something, when you have, you know, any other tax-related items, that you are absolutely obligated to pay that sales tax. The sales tax information is very well outlined in Section 3 of our Chapter Finances Manual. And if you have any questions on that, or if you need a certificate or proof of your non-exempt status in any way, we have that information for you. All you need to do is just give us a call, and we can get you that group exemption letter that some of you request. So the next question, true or false? We shouldn't serve alcohol at events. I'll just let you think about that for a moment. Well, of course that's false. And we all know that many of our chapter events and our national events, we put things together that, you know, there's a social at the end of a program, or maybe even the entire program is about paying back to your membership, and it's in a very social environment and cocktails are served. So absolutely you may serve alcohol. This is what I need you to know about this though. We have liability protection on alcohol. It's included in the D&O. And I want to read this specifically from the chapter leader's manual, in that the liability protection includes host liquor liability. So your chapter is covered for an event in which alcohol is served. But understand, it is your responsibility to be certain that members and guests drink responsibly. Now this is if you are hosting it. What you really should be doing if you're serving alcohol at a certain event, whenever possible, it's always best to use a catering service or the hotel staff to provide that liquor service and to obtain a certificate of insurance from that vendor. And this will protect that liability and the responsibility you have. Another thing, though, that you should be paying attention to when you're serving alcohol at an event that you're facilitating or you're hosting is that sometimes there are local laws that we are not aware of. So always be aware of what's going on, whose liability it is if someone is intoxicated and something happens. Even if you're at a hotel, you still really need to have a basic understanding. No big deal, but just be aware of what is going on. And also, in terms of serving alcohol, one of the things that you should be paying attention to is making sure that the event is appropriate. Certainly, I don't know, in the past I've seen this, I don't know if it's happening right now, but if you're having a board of directors meeting and you do it once a month, you know, it's not a great idea to do this at a bar or to be serving drinks while you're at the meeting. That is not, of course, an appropriate venue. But then certainly after your director's meeting, if it's late in the day and you want to celebrate a little bit, then you can do that. But pay attention to the way you're representing the organization, pay attention to the venue, and making sure that it is appropriate. So before I go on, Mary, I'm going to ask you if there are any other questions.
Nope, not at this point.
Okay, thank you. 3, true or false? Since we are a nonprofit organization, we should not make a profit. Again, this is false. That is clearly not the case. Here's what you need to know about nonprofit. The nonprofit really means that no individual can profit by receiving distributions of income from chapter activities. So just as we do at S&PS National, and as you have a board at all of your chapters, you can't be giving money that you get from an educational program or sponsorship to make sure that it's kind of divvied out to your directors because you just feel that they deserve it. That's not the way it works. Nonprofit corporation is simply making sure that that doesn't happen in protecting that status. But as you are making money, and as we could see, excuse me, on the financial reports that we received, you know, we have some very healthy chapters out there. and you have a very healthy reserve as well. So if you are in a situation where you see that you have a healthy account that is not obligated to other expenses at the moment, you should be thinking about how you're giving back to your membership, what more you are doing to really enhance that, the level of engagement, or simply what you're doing to give back, because that's what this is about. If you find that your membership is declining, but you still have a whole lot of money in the bank, there's a disparity there. So you need to start really looking at those things in a meaningful way and seeing what you can do with that. And as you look at those details, and you have some questions of maybe what you can do, what others are doing, and PLS is going to be a great resource for you in this area, give us a call as well, but talk it through, and then you might be surprised how you can put that money to use and actually strengthen your chapter, and certainly goodwill for the members overall. But that's what I want you to understand about the nonprofit status. Mary, I'm going to give it a second and see if there are any hands or questions.
No questions or hands as of right now.
Okay, well, we're at just over the half-hour point, and I know I've been talking a great deal. I want to remind all of you, though, that the information is all in your membership and, or rather, your chapter management manuals. And so, and it will be made available to you and updated at PLS when you get here. So now what I want to do is talk about membership. Very, very important. And we're going to talk about a couple of different things here. But first, I want to make sure that you have a good understanding of our current standing in terms of numbers right now. This is compiled every month, and it's listed in our dashboard that we give to our board of directors, so they have a sense of what's going on. So just in terms of straight numbers, as of the end of January, we had 5,566 regular members. We had 10 emeritus members. We had a total of 75 lifetime and comp members, and we have a total of 149 members. Just so you know, lifetime members are past S&PS national presidents and the Marketing Achievement Award winners. Those are typically the individuals who get that lifetime membership. So as you can see, we have a total of 5,800 members in our organization as of the end of January. Also on that dashboard, what we provide is just a quick glimpse of over the last 4 years of what is happening. And as you can see, with the count of regular members only, this does not include those other lifetime, comp, and emeritus members and students. But we're actually holding ourselves pretty well, especially compared to other organizations. Clearly, 08 and 09, which is actually a very tough year for a lot of organizations, we were in a very good standing. But as you can see, we went down just a little bit more the year after, and now we're actually picking up just a little bit more. And I have to give credit to our chapters and all of you out there. You are doing some amazing things. I've seen more membership programs this year than I think I've seen in a while. Mary, I think you can contest to that.
Absolutely. The chapters have come up with many creative membership programs, campaigns, ambassador programs, really creative ideas to engage the members, and especially that 1 to 3 year member.
Absolutely, and we can't begin to help you understand that we fundamentally understand the role you play in growing this membership, bringing in new members, and keeping our members. There is a host of things that we do, and we will talk about, hopefully at PLS we have a chance to talk about this in terms of our fulfillment effort and how we work with our chapters in bringing in those members and keeping those individuals. But at this point, I want to say a sincere thank you to all of you for the efforts that you're making. It really is making a difference. You can see that it's even making a difference in terms of our retention rate. Just 4 years ago, we were on an average of 80%, and this is in terms of actual regular member individuals who we've had at a given point in time and where we are at an end point in time. For a professional society and an individual as ours, good numbers are anywhere between typically 80 and 90%. We're really standing well, and we know even in our really great years, 80–81% has been kind of a constant for us. I mean, it's not shown here on the chart, but it's important for you to know that that's kind of our point. So what's also important to know about those retention rates, even though they're going up, and you see currently that the 11-12 year, this is as of January, we're averaging 81% retention. That retention rate is still based on lower numbers from the previous year. So we really need to start thinking about bringing in those new members and in building that retention rate based on a higher number of members. So again, I think it's important for all of you to really see at a glance where we are, what we're doing, and the roles that you've been playing in this as well. So let's talk about membership in another way and talk about a little bit about some of the things that even might be on your mind. When we're growing membership or we're thinking about keeping a member, and especially I think as a chapter leader, it can be really difficult to, to just go to someone who say, well, why should I be a member? And then you feel like you have to have this immediate response. I want to just have you think about a couple of things. The first thing you must ask yourself and must always remember is why we are here. When you're talking about membership and you're talking about the benefits, you don't need to feel compelled to go into a litany or a bulleted points of things that we provide, because ultimately that's not going to be what gets someone in and what keeps them here. It is going to be about an experience. And you need to understand that the reason we are here, and I have even pulled out our Articles of Incorporation from 1976, but we are here to advance the profession. This is marketing, and this is business development. And when we can really think about it in those terms, I think it really helps the conversation overall. And in order to advance the profession, there are some other things that we need to think about in terms of those members now, not just being numbers, but actual real people who contribute. Growth is essential because it is critical that that body of knowledge is great. That body of knowledge comes from our members. It comes from every one of you on this call right now. It comes from all of your colleagues. When we think about the growth of this organization and we think about the advancement of the profession itself, it is about sharing knowledge. It is about educating. It is about sharing best practices. And in order to do that well, you must have this amazing group of people and colleagues and experiences to be able to share that. When you even think about any event that any of you have at a chapter, you think about our regionals, you think about even what we're doing with the marketer or our conference. Those are educational programs. Those are educational, this is a journal. Who's putting those together? It's not the staff who's writing all of that. It is every one of you. It is they are our members who are putting that amazing information together. And that's how we get there. So these are the things that we want you to think about when you're kind of pondering and really trying to figure out this challenge. So I'm going to ask Andrew Weinberg to kind of take this slide and we'll carry on. But before I go forward, are there any questions out there, Mary?
Just a quick look. Let's see.
Okay.
No hand raised, no questions at this point.
Okay. Okay, Andrew.
All right, thank you, Tina. First,
you.
I also want to say welcome to everybody, and I'm really looking forward to meeting everybody in April. Okay, so we're talking about ways to bring in a new member, and I know that I'm preaching to the choir. You guys have all been there, but these are just a few good key reminders. The first thing is tell your story. Absolutely tell your story. This is where it comes out as to how you really feel about SMPS. What did it do for you when you first found out about it? How has it been basically intertwined with your professional career as you have advanced? It's going to show your passion. It's going to show your emotion. So definitely tell your story. You have opportunities to do that when talking to individuals, and also when you have an opportunity to speak in front of an audience, maybe at your chapter meeting, your annual meeting, or a holiday party, when you have an opportunity to talk to potential new members. Secondly, know who you're talking to. So, okay, so we as marketers, we know how to put a spin on things. So it depends on who you're talking to. How are you going to talk about this? Are you talking to a junior level or entry level marketing coordinator? Are you talking to a manager or a director, a more seasoned person? Or are you talking to a business development person or even a principal of a firm? You're definitely going to want to talk to what's important to them and what their goals are and what their needs are. And of course, at the end of the day, you want to ask them to join. You'll find that even extending a personal invitation can make a real difference. And then lastly, once they've joined, of course, you want to get them involved. And I'll just give one quick example. I know we're going to talk about ways to engage folks in a couple more slides, but one thing that I have found that has worked for me over the years, and I've done this many times, instead of asking somebody to join a committee because that may seem a little bit daunting, too big of a commitment, or even if they're a little bit shy, I just ask them to sit in on a committee meeting. You know, just come, listen. You can partake in the conversation if you want, or you can just sit back and just take it all in, learn about how we go about doing things, how we plan events, find out what your interests are. And I will tell you that every single time I've done this, that person has left the meeting with either some small task or role or responsibility that they have volunteered to take on, and then ultimately they have become a part of the committee and they are beginning their engagement with the chapter. And so I guess with that, I'll turn it back to Tina.
Okay, thank you so much, Andrew. Miria, are there any questions before I go on?
Nope, we're good at this point.
Okay, well, we're at 3:19 right now. We don't have that many more slides, but there are some important things that we want all of you to be aware of. So let's talk about renewals, and let's talk about our greatest risk, and that is the first-year member. So I have a little puppy dog up here, actually, because I think I needed a little visual reprieve, but I also thought it was relevant in terms of thinking about who our first-year member is. Typically, these are the individuals who are, maybe their boss said, you know, you just need to join SMPS. Maybe they're individuals who have transferred a membership and they didn't know what to do with it. They might not even be as familiar with, what the chapter has to offer or the organization overall. And so maybe they thought more things were going to be thrown at them to make them engaged, but it just didn't work. But this is the member who is typically the passive member. And if you look at the next slide, this is what's really very, very scary, and all of you need to pay attention to this. Within the last 2 years, we had 3,504 individuals drop their membership. That is huge. But I will also tell you that as a standard, and when we compare our numbers with other organizations, the first and second year member, this is not an anomaly. But regardless of whether it's an anomaly or not, this is a challenge for us. And these are real people that even in that first year, we have 1,283 people who dropped. We know who they are. We have their names, and we need to find a special way to reach out to them, because this is also the group that are typically not engaged. As I said, they kind of have that passive membership. They don't, they might read some of the mail that we send them or emails, or, they'll read the marketer, they'll browse through it, maybe connections, but that might be all they're really getting. And also, some of them may never have been a part of an organization or a society before either, and they might be expecting different things. So I guess what I want to emphasize here is that there is an amazing opportunity for us to work with that first-year member. And if we can bring that number down and really make that experience amazing for them, then even if you go to the second and third-year member where it's a 29%, which is huge, that will go down as well, simply because the way we have been able to work with them in their very first year. And I promise you, at SMPS National, we are really working on different ways to make that happen. Many of you might have been aware that we had, this was about 1.5 years ago where it ended, maybe a year ago, but we had that new member challenge. And just so you quickly know, the new member challenge was for those brand new members, and we would give them a set of items that we wanted them to participate in. It was a level of going to chapter events, asking to volunteer, participating at a national level, etc. And at the end, if they did all those things within their first year, we gave them a $50 American Express card or a Visa card. And so that was actually, didn't have as many people participate, but that's okay. What it told us, though, is that everyone who took that challenge filled it all. They had amazing things to say about the organization, and over 97% of them renewed their membership. So again, there's something to be said about a level of engagement and understanding who that first year and that second and third year member. And if at any point, you as a president, you as the president-elect, anyone on your team, your membership chair, you need details of understanding who comprises your first-year member, the 2 to 3 year member, you need a little bit of help from us, we will work with you on that. We want to help you with this process as well. And if you have some amazing ideas, we are all ears. So that said, I'm going to give this slide over to Holly Bolton in talking about engagement opportunities.
Hey everybody, well I'm really glad to be part of this webinar today and just want to welcome everybody and thank you for your leadership. Excited as well to meet you guys in person at PLS. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about this slide and engagement opportunities, kind of thinking back to when I joined SNPS, and actually it was a membership transfer that got me involved in the organization from the person that I replaced at my firm at the time. And as soon as I joined, it was the Kansas City chapter actually, the president called me and said, hey, I know that you just joined the chapter, why don't we grab some lunch? So that was really a critical point in my membership because at that point she talked to me about what my strengths were, encouraged me to get on the committee. And so it just really, my point of that story is that the personal ask is everything. And I'm sure that's something that you guys have learned through your membership. I mean, a lot of the things that I'm talking about today are kind of reminders of probably things that a lot of you are already doing. But it's great to talk to your members, find out what their strengths are. And what are those areas, too, not just that they're strong in and passionate about, but what are the areas that they would like to develop? And when it comes to volunteering and getting involved in SNPS, I mean, obviously going to an SNPS event or an educational program can increase your education level and introduce you to new people that you could partner with or learn from. But also another kind of side benefit that is maybe not talked about as much is just the ability, as Kevin said earlier, to develop skills that your members can then use on at their jobs. Like before I had to create a budget for my firm, I created a budget for my SNPS chapter. So you kind of learn those things that you'll eventually apply as leaders in your firms in kind of a supportive, non-threatening environment. Things like strategic planning, facilitation, presenting. You know, if you want to flex your muscles in event planning, but you don't really do a lot of events at your firm. Just kind of those types of things that you can communicate to your members is an important message, I think, to send, as well as all the other benefits that come from SNPS. So I'm going to turn it back over to Tina now. I know we're getting close to 3:30, so I don't want to ramble on too much, but those are just kind of some quick thoughts when it comes to how to talk with people and new members to get them engaged in a really critical time of their membership.
Thank you, Holly. Before we get onto the slide, and Andrew is going to talk just a little bit about some of the initiatives with New York, but we will have an opportunity, rather all of you will have an opportunity to talk about some really great ideas when you're here at PLS. So this certainly is not the end of the conversation. So Andrew, can you talk about some New York initiatives?
Sure, absolutely. So the New York chapter, the current chapter president, Andrew Abel, has made it part of his, I guess, platform for the year, and all of the board members are on board for this, to really put a focus on giving back to the members and making sure the members really feel appreciated and feel that they're getting a good value. And so part of that is these various programs that we've done. The first one is actually one of the ways we were looking to gain new members. We did a little experiment this year with a rebate program. We offered for the month of January, any new members, this is not for renewals, but specifically for new members, we were going to give back from the chapter a rebate of $125. And so, you need to be, I guess, in a good financial place to be able to do that and make sure that your budget can handle it. And we knew that we could. We ended up getting 17 new members for the month of January, so it was very successful. And we also knew that $25 is kicked back from National when they received the new member registration fee. So it was really $100 laid out for each new member. We plan to repeat the program again in the spring. We're looking at budgeting, between $3,000 and $4,000 for this. This doesn't have to be this amount. It could be any amount that your chapter feels that you can do. But we have found that this rebate program was really successful. The Membership Ambassador Program is something that we used to do years ago and we have brought back. And this may sound like something simple and obvious, but we have 2 to 3 members of our membership committee assigned as membership ambassadors to every program that we hold throughout the year: education, client panel programs, special events, etc. And what they do is they actually set up a table, they put up a big banner, they actually bring balloons, they bring all kinds of literature, and they are there to promote membership at SMPS. And it's actually created quite a buzz throughout each of our events, and it's usually during the networking portion of each event. Our spirits events are basically they're our happy hour events, and we hold them every other month. And being in New York City, there's no shortness of great places to have these events, so we kind of sprinkle it around different parts of the city. And this year we're actually adding themes to them. So last one was like a Caribbean islandy theme, and the one coming up in March is going to be a St. Patrick's theme. And this is basically just, there's no agenda. This is a networking event. People can come and just feel relaxed and just socialize and mix and mingle with each other. It's a great opportunity for members to get together who haven't seen each other in a while, and it's also a great opportunity for those who are considering membership to find out more about the chapter. The last thing I wanted to mention is give back to membership, and I have it in quotes because it's kind of part of the theme again for this year. What we've done is we're looking at the year and the year's budget, and instead of looking to be profitable, or always looking to not be, to always be profitable or at least break even, this year we're talking about just breaking even, and so that anything beyond that we're going to pour back into member benefits. And so some of the things that we've done for that include we have free member events, we have further discounted member rates for all of our programs. We have members-only award program. It's actually part of our honors program, and there are certain categories that are for members only. And finally, with regards to a specific event, as an example, for our holiday party, we decided to step it up a bit. We booked a fancier venue, and did a nice food display and music, and put some of those profits back into a member-focused event. And so as an individual event, it probably shows as a loss. But if you're looking at it in terms of the whole year, the chapter does show as at least as a break-even or at a profit, or still at a profit level. So those are some of the initiatives that we've done in New York. I'm going to turn it, I guess, back over to Holly at this point.
That is correct.
Tina, this is Mary. I know we're short for time, but just real quick, because there were 2 questions, and I'll just want to make sure. Andrew, a few people had asked about the strategy that you guys used in New York for the specific how to reach out to the specific new members that you offer the rebate to. I know we are short for time today, but I just wanted to tell everybody I'll get the specifics from Andrew Abel and Andrew Weinberg and make sure we send those out or make them available to you regarding their rebate program. And also they just asked, did you charge for your spirits events? And if so, how much did you charge?
I can tell you real quickly, for the rebate program, we PR'd the heck out of it. We did a lot of email blasts. We talked about it at events. We just did whatever we could to create a buzz about it. And regarding, I'm sorry, what was the second question?
Did you charge for the spirits events?
No, we do. I think what we've done is that we will serve the first 50 guests 1 drink or 2 drinks, depending on what's in the budget, and then anything beyond that is on, is the cash bar.
Oh, perfect. Great. Thank you, Andrew.
We take care of the hors d'oeuvres.
Good.
And you're always welcome.
Okay, well, Holly, do you want to talk about the baseball game in Indiana?
Sure. I'll just hit a couple of highlights on this. And actually, Ben Bain is our president-elect, and he is going to be in the PLS class with everybody. So if you're on the line, hello, Ben. But he was the membership chair when this event took place. So when you meet him at PLS, I'm sure that Ben, along with everybody else, will share some great ideas as happens at PLS, and everybody will come away with lots of good tips and ideas. But kind of some highlights of this is there's a great ballpark, minor league ballpark in Indianapolis called Victory Field, and we've had some SMPS events there in the past. For this event, though, it was a recruitment event for members, and decided that the board actually, I can't take credit for this at all. This was all the board and the membership committees doing. But one of the highlights of this event was that members could come to this, but only if they brought a prospective member. So it was another thing that was great was it was a beautiful day. It's a fun venue. Everybody loves Victory Field. So it was kind of a high demand event that people wanted to go to. So they each brought a prospective member. And then there was a little bit of time during the ball game where the benefits to joining SMPS were shared. And another thing that was a good idea or nugget from this event was that they really tried to create a sense of urgency to join, even to the extent of having laptops with Wi-Fi on site with the SMPS website and the ability to just log on and join right there. So it just all kind of blended into a great event for them and had an immediate positive effect. But just that being said, just like Tina mentioned, it's what you do after they join to kind of keep them and keep new members engaged and reach out to them. So like I said, lots of other ideas I know you guys have and on all kinds of different things as they relate to membership. So I look forward to hearing your great ideas too. Now I'll turn it back over to Tina.
Okay. Okay, so this is pretty much the end of our program, but there are just a couple of notes that I want to send off before we leave. First, understand that when you are here at PLS in Alexandria, if there are any questions that you have either from the previous webinar or the webinar that we had today or the one that we'll be conducting in March, be prepared to bring them with you at PLS. We can either address them with your other colleagues, or if you have something that's maybe a little bit more sensitive, or maybe you want to meet with a member of the board, you want to meet with someone on staff, call us in advance and we'll schedule a special time to meet with you while you're here. What we want all of you to understand, we, the board, the staff, the PLS committee, is that this is your time, and we want to do everything that we can to help make your year successful ahead. We want you to know that you are not alone. We want you to connect to your colleagues and build that relationship so you can talk and communicate with one another. But along with your colleagues, you have another team here that really is in your corner. So that said, we want to thank you for your time. We want to thank you for believing in SMPS and making it a great organization. It is you. You are making the difference. And more than anything, you should know that we are your greatest fans. So thank you so much for participating. We'll hope all of you will be a part of the March webinar. We'll send out information. And that ends our program today. Thank you again.